it down, hold it up. I'll either come and grab it while they're talking, or Dan will come grab it, and I'll kind of sort through those as we go, and we'll have this panel. It's a question for a particular person up here. That would be great to note that too. Otherwise, I'm just going to throw it to the panel. Let's start out. We're going to have them each give a brief introduction of who they are, where they're from, maybe size of your school. Would really help people put things in context. And then one or two strengths or weaknesses, opportunities or threats for all you business people. You're like, oh my God, threw in a SWOT analysis. Let's get started. Doug Rushman's going to start.
Thanks, sir. My name is Doug Rushman. I serve as the Director for Web Services at Xavier University. We're located in Cincinnati, Ohio. We have a little over 6,500 students. We're a private Catholic university. We have a central web office on our campus. I don't know if that's helpful to know. We have about 8, 9, 10 people on our staff who do a variety of things supporting the web and our portal system and that kind of thing. I'd say probably one of our biggest strengths is things that we started feeling good about this past year. We have implemented a new content management system back in January. So we've kind of got that in place, and in my mind, that has been a huge benefit, having that in place, just from the daily updates, daily requests that we used to get and help manage the campus with. I think we've put those back to most of the campus users now to be able to manage themselves. As well as we implement at the same time kind of a larger scale web analytics solution. And so now we can generate regular reports for all of the departments that we serve about their analytics, do some evaluations with them about the use of those analytics, how they might be helpful and benefit them. I would say a big weakness of ours would probably be written policies to a certain extent, both the ones that we actually have on our website, but also policies about what we really think are good things to have out there, not only on our .edu site, but other things that people are supporting and doing, even outside of our domain, and how does that work with those folks who might be creating content that's outside of the college website. So I could use some tips if anybody's got it.
Shri Giridharan from Seton Hall University, New Jersey. I am the manager for web services, and my role in particular is to do with managing our portal content. We have a Blackboard portal that is currently our main portal, but we're in the process of bringing up our Luminous portal, the Sunbird product, and we are transitioning Blackboard from being a primary portal to just the course management system, and Luminous is going to function as our community interface. And we're a group of about 8 of us, combined Java developers, Oracle PLSQL programmers, and most developers. We, outside of the portal, we also manage the banner, self-service banner. Anything that has the name web in front of it usually comes to us. So I guess the biggest strength that I have seen over the past year is the rapid pace at which we, as developers, have put together this portal. We actually took on the installation, the configuration of our Luminous portal, and between just us with very little help from outside, we've put together this product. And the opportunity that has given us is just an appreciation for the architecture, security, performance, which as developers we don't always pay attention to. So in a sense, it has widened our skills. But one of the threats that I see is the stress levels that have gone up, because while we're bringing up our portal, we have been tasked with maintaining all the other applications that we are in charge of. So it's taken a toll on the team, but we're hoping that the end is in sight.
Hi, I'm Luke Robinson at Kelvin College. We're located in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We're a private university, or private college. About 4,200 students, primarily undergrad, but we do have a Master's of Education. I started in public relations, and that has now morphed and moved divisions, and it's now called communications and marketing. So I'm more of a front-end type of guy, but realize the front end talks to the back end. And so that's where our website comes in, and we're seeing it more and more being the tool for that transaction. It used to be, the static pages, probably our biggest weakness. We have a static built site. Dreamweaver has been the norm for the past 8 years, and the complexity has gone way up. We have information that's sometimes out of date or not totally up to date. The designs become more difficult. Anybody try to work CSS in the box model hack? Share that with an administrative assistant who's in charge of that page, and they're just kind of like, don't care. So as design got more complex and people's expectations for that design to become better and better have also gone up, and along with that comes the training and the cost of that training and the cost of maintenance. So we're right at the point of a really good opportunity, I think. We're working with a vendor and doing an audience research study. Right now we're towards the end of phase 1, which is that initial audience research. What are they wanting? We have all this content. We found out we have no real content holes, but people couldn't find it. So findability came out to be number 1. Everybody talked about video. But in terms of priorities, findability was number 1 and video was probably 8 or 9. So that gave us some good priorities, some good checks of reality, and now we're going to start on the information architecture and the wireframe, which then will dovetail into phase 2, which will be the CMS product. What's the tool that help us get more efficient and help streamline some processes of updating our pages, updating our design, making it easy for somebody to edit a page and not know about the box model or mark up specific tags and things like that. So that's kind of where we're at. And we're a diverse team, a diverse group of editors too. About 130 people help manage the Calvin website, which was pretty much built as an org chart, and that's one thing that we're rethinking through our research is we want to be task-oriented, user-oriented, and present things in terms of their goals and their needs.
Hi, Rachel Stewart, and I'm with the College of Business at the University of Iowa in Iowa City. There's about 30,000 students at the University of Iowa, Big Ten, and our college now has about 2,000 undergraduates and about 1,000 MBA students, with the evening MBA included. So we've got about a 3,000 population. Our greatest strength is it's only a unit of the university, so we don't have to deal with some of the issues that these other panelists do, where there's just such a huge population and so many other people coming at you. Another strength is that, well, there's 2 of us, so we are the entire web team, despite us being a very active website, very well regarded on campus. Our skill set's really pretty good. The person who works with me I was hired because I hired her as a student because she thought she'd apply for the kind of design job. She's actually a pretty excellent programmer as well, so her skill set's great on either side. And I have a content and sort of a marketing background too, so between the 2 of us, we sort of pushed it through. We have no content management system, so it is just the 2 of us, which brings it to our threat, of course. Another thing is that we run our own server in-house, where we can put any language on it that we want, we can do anything we want, so we don't have to put the politics of some of the other units on campus are only on the central web server. And that's been about the same thing for about 6 years now. And people, they can't do anything dynamic, they can't do anything, and we can do anything we want. So we have a combination of static and dynamic, depending on the need. Our greatest weakness, if you call up our website, is that our website is 8 years old. And it looks it, and it's because up until a year and a half ago, no one in the dean's office or anyone would give any thought to what this website should be doing. It was pretty much what I thought we could do with it and a couple other people. And I sort of dragged my feet on redesigning it because I thought if you guys aren't going to invest any time, any interest into it, why should we do this? It's just going to be the same thing but with a different look. So we finally got some interest going, and of course now that you have the committee, that's over 2 years out, and we still don't have it up, but it will be up by the end of the year, and it's going to be a lot better. So that's been our weakness. There's been no plan from the college at all as to what this website is supposed to be doing. And then again, our greatest threat, because we have no CMS, is that there's just 2 of us. The student talent, and I believe somebody I was talking to you about this, Doug, is that they're shrinking student talent because nobody does web pages anymore. They do Facebook and MySpace. So when we put out an advertisement on the student job net, we get no applications. And so that's been pretty
I'm Bob Chrysler. I manage the Division of Internet and Interactive Media at the Office of the University of Communications at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, which is an institution of 23,500 students. Our department, I guess, has had an interesting path over the years. You know, the web was always sort of the backwater of communication. I think for a lot of it, you know, it sort of sprung up, and print had all the budget, and the web, you know, just grew in relevance to our audiences, and finally, people that held purse strings started to understand that. So we've kind of morphed into a position of a little more importance around the campus. So the fortunate thing for us is our chancellor got that probably faster than anybody else. And so we, several years ago, got pretty much the unequivocal backing of our chancellor to go through a redevelopment process by which all of the sites are going to be required to use the same template. In that process, we decided we didn't want to be heavy-handed about it, so we asked everybody to be involved in the redesign, and actually we're in our second cycle right now of redesign under that model, where we have cooperative development where everybody gets together and pitches in with their best ideas, and we, you know, winnow down until finally we have some candidates who can test to our students and our faculty staff. So I think our greatest strength is we've built a fairly cooperative development culture on campus. We have a group called the Web Developer Network that meets every month, and we've got, you know, online chat and all those kinds of things. So it's very active. You know, and I think, and it's come up in several other sessions. You know, if you don't have the backing of the highest people in your university, you're kind of out there trying to fight your own lonely battles, you know, in terms of, you know, giving your university the right kind of web presence. And I actually wanted to mention, too, just the balkanization as a weakness. I think the balkanization of effort. We still are in a system where, you know, essentially we have 8 employees counting students now in Internet and Interactive Media. There are probably 200 people on campus that actually touch websites. So, you know, a lot of our effort goes toward technical support for those folks and just trying to keep everything coordinated. And we have, and I don't know if this is common in this room, but obviously, you know, in a website you've got a communications piece of it, and you've got the information services back-end sort of piece of it. And we've got still a disjoint relationship with our information services area. I think the great opportunity we've seen, and we continue to see, is cooperative development on campus. For instance, a couple of years ago, we had 9, I think, different calendars on campus. You know, some database-driven, some, you know, just statically thrown online. And we developed a calendar for the entire campus, and that's worked out real well. By the way, it's open source. I know there's demo feed work over there, but ours is on Google Code, so you might want to look at that. And I guess the threats are all of you guys, because, you know, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of talent in the group here. And the real threat, I obviously I say that facetiously, but, you know, how many times has a higher up forwarded, I mean, I'd like to see a show of hands, how many of you have gotten in the last 3 months an email from a higher up saying, hey, look at what they're doing, you know? And I mean, and it never comes with a price tag, you know? And it can be really inspirational, but, you know, I guess the question I would ask there is how do we, you know, sort of control, you know, the conversation, or lead that conversation when it starts out so awkwardly? How do you get in control of that conversation?
Thank you, everybody. Any questions? I have some. Don't forget to write them down if you've got some stuff. This one I love. Because the question actually is, who manages your web policies at your school?
It has a subset, right? Do you have web policies at your school? Bob, I'm going to start on your end.
Well, we have, like I mentioned, the Web Developer Network group, and self-selected, not by this self, but by the membership. If somebody wanted to be involved in writing the style guide, then we had separate meetings to do that. Basically, 3 hours of argument over where related links will go and things like that. I mean, really, it got to that level. But we slogged through it, and that's online, and it'll be something where we, as I just mentioned, we started a redesign cycle just a month ago, and we're going to look at the style guide again as part of that. But it's community property.
All we have is basically what my colleague and I do every day when we see someone's site that we don't like. Change it. So we do have independent publishers at the college too, and some of them they know that they've done it again. So there's really no reason to call them. We just go ahead and change it again. We do, like I said, we do have a redesign coming online by the end of the year. My colleague went to the style guide session earlier today and came up and says we have to have our style guide written by the time that comes out. So we will have good policies in place, but yeah, it's kind of ad hoc right now.
I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you when you speak, Rachel.
All right.
Outside voice for Rachel.
I would say we have a web policy, but it's probably about 8 years old, but it was really based off of another technology policy we have, which is the responsible use of technology. And that kind of goes back to being a Christian organization, asking yourself, what am I doing with this technology, and is it responsible for what I believe in? And so for that, I think my lucky stars is we have never gotten that big long list of thou shall not, do not, this, as a big list of rules. It says, we're being called to a higher level here. What's the right road to take, and just be responsible when you do that. And so that's given us, a lot of leeway, but in terms of flexibility to say, let's lead with a carrot and not go chasing people with a hammer and, try to squash every bug or every problem. And then in phase 2, I should say, our group that we have kind of an ad hoc web committee, and we're looking at phase 2 as being a content management strategy. When I say CMS, we think of it as a strategy, and part of that is the notion of we're pretty weak on documentation and our style guide. I wrote it a couple years ago. I know more than I did way back then, and we have some smart people now on our team that we didn't have before, so we're in the process of starting to rewrite that, and then also a long-term view at maintenance. Whatever we build, how do we maintain? Because we realize we've just been adding. How do we keep maintaining that? And so I think that's going to tweak our policies moving forward also.
For our public website, we do have policies that basically have come up from our marketing team, and they pretty much, I won't speak to the style because I don't know anything about the style guide, but as far as content goes, they pretty much drive what goes on the public website. One of the challenges we have faced is many departments want their information published on the public website, even though it applies to internal constituents. So I guess the challenge that our web development team and marketing has faced is trying to drive this content to the portal, saying your content really belongs in the portal and not on the public website. So getting those communication lines going has been, I guess, where our policies really need to take effect.
I said it before, and I'm still saying our policies stink. Our policies stink. We've got stuff, and it's always on the to-do list of all of our projects and priorities. It's kind of like always number 10. What we should do is, we should actually write down some policies and such, and we certainly do in terms of responsible use and in terms of what's out there. We do have an online style guide, which is actually really good. Yet in and of itself isn't really a policy, so to speak. And so it's one of those things that I think that's out there. I think what I would say at my institution is we're not big enough of a campus. We don't have a policy office. So we don't really have anybody to turn to who can, we don't have a legal office either to say, can you review this for me? Or how the heck would I even write a policy? Where would I start it? And so I certainly know there's guidelines out there and what we could do, but we don't really have anybody driving that effort on our campus.
Yeah, borrow, right?
Right.
I think probably about as old as the 8-year-old one. I think that's what it was probably 10 years ago. I think I borrowed one from University of Minnesota and rewrote it.
Yeah.
Because it was really well written anyway. And then, so there's really two issues here, right? It's, do you have web policies that control the what people can do and what's acceptable? I always recommend, and other policies that affect your part of the campus, especially for student organizations, because there are other legal documents that are written. There's like student handbooks or faculty handbooks, and they have their own rules. So you want to make sure that all those rules apply, so you need a little tag on the end of your policies. And then there's the style guide part, which is really a separate kind of document. It's not so much rules as like you shouldn't post illegal photos on your website, as you should probably use this particular font because that's what we have agreed that everybody's going to use. Good question that I have here. As strategic managers, how are you addressing social media? What plans do you have to use them in marketing? It's with you, Doug. Microphone's in front of you.
I need a second to think. We built our own social networking system only for accepted students. And it's been a very big success. It's been great. And now we're tapping into the students as part of that site who use Flickr and Twitter and a variety of other things. And but that's only for our admissions and recruitment kind of strategies. We haven't really done anything elaborate, I would say, for our current students. And I don't know if any of you guys would say that. The other thing is, I saw a couple of folks right now with questions. I know Dan is going to circulate in the back too. So if anybody has any questions, you can just hold them up.
Kind of hold them up.
Dan will get them for you. Anybody else for social network?
I know we don't have a written policy in terms of how we're using social networks in terms of admissions and things like that, but from a PR standpoint, I've picked up a few things like Twitter/Calvin College. I want to be the owner of that. A student I contacted, he picked up the Flickr group for Calvin College. Seems like a nice kid, so we kind of stay in touch. I'm not going to interfere. It's great to see kind of a grassroots from the student's perspective that they want to do something like that. And with Facebook, the day that Pages came available, I got our university on there. It's the seal and the address, but there's 700 fans. I'm like, hey, that's cool. That's great. But right now, it's also part of that. If we keep adding these social networks, who's going to maintain it? So right now, we're kind of in this holding pattern to see, are the users really asking for this type of engagement? And we're getting some different vibes. Students say, stay away from Facebook. Our alumni are kind of like, it's not so bad, It's good networking going back there. I had a great experience, so maybe you can approach me as a college on Facebook. So it really depends on the audience we're looking at and what kind of social scene they want to be in.
Our admissions office built a site called Club Red that has been very successful for them. I'm not able to quote facts and figures, but it's been very successful for them. That's what they said. And I was fortunate enough to be able to hire into our office the main architect of Club Red just several months ago, Seth Miranda, who's blogging and here at the conference as well. And we're looking at an open source platform called ELGG, E-L-G-G, to build a social networking platform that we'll be able to use throughout the experience, from being a prospective student to a current student to an alumnus. And we really think that there's a benefit to a social platform in all sorts of facets at the university. We're trying to sketch out a new workflow for maintaining student status at the university, re-enrolling for courses from semester to semester. And one of the things we've sort of envisioned as part of that is you might have a recommendation engine that might give you some courses, and it might also be able to tell you who in your social group has already taken those courses or who's registered for the next semester to bring the social element into course selection. So We think it has. I mean, there's definitely a big future for social networking.
So my next question might just be for selected people, but it's they're asking about the pros and cons of adopting Google Apps. So have any of you had adopted those, and how do you feel?
Can I say this? We just got a $10 million donation from one of the principals of Microsoft. So that's all I'll say about Google Apps.
The University of Iowa is adopting the Google Search Appliance, so we will be doing that. We already have the sort of customized Google search that you can put on your site now. And I went to the meeting thinking, yeah, why do we need this appliance? And of course I left thinking we need this appliance. So we'll be doing that, but outside of the using analytics, we won't really look at any other apps.
I just have the Calvin College account established over on Google, and we're doing some simple stuff with their gadgets, feeding it a spreadsheet, having it pull out a map. Just some real simple basic stuff, but I do know, I'm not in charge of it, but I know some students during a pilot group are moving over to Google Mail for students. So by webmail, I think that's going to be, not missed.
We recently decided to move away from our Lotus Notes email platform to AMP Collaboration Workspace. And one of the options on table was Google, the hoster Gmail, the Google Apps. But our CIO decided that Microsoft was the way to go, so I guess we got vetoed out.
I can just relay one thing, even though it wasn't me that was working on it. We shifted our student email from internal to Gmail driven, but we didn't shift everybody else's because it wouldn't play nicely with Outlook. Guess what? We did that over the summer. There were some bugs. And the bugs were, it was holding, for everybody else on campus, so for faculty and administrators, it was holding some of our emails, sometimes for hours, sometimes for days. Sometimes they never came through. Sometimes they came immediate, so there wasn't any regular pattern to it. And they've done some fixes. We're still not sure that it's corrected itself. Even though when it was being implemented, of course the folks at Google said, oh yeah, this is a piece of cake. We just route some of them this way, and we route some of them that way, and it'll work on your campus. Okay, I've got some questions maybe kind of go together. This one asks if any of you are involved in any other type of really electronic communication, like e-newsletters. Does that fall in your department? Does it, or then why or why not, I guess?
We create e-newsletter, at least the templates for both e-newsletters for a variety of places on campus, as well as email templates that would be used by the admissions office, especially for that accepted student site that we talked about before, even the alumni office. Pretty much all of those emails go out in some kind of template, and so our office will help create a number of those things. We do actually do something that's nice, and we send out a quarterly web services e-newsletter to all of the folks who make updates to the Xavier site during the course of the year, and they love it. They send us reactions. We post a little snapshot, screenshot, and give some verbiage to all the new sites that have been created and deployed over the last 3 months, or just some good new things that other people in different departments might be doing, and that's been pretty well received by our office.
Currently, we run everything per listservs through Majordomo, which is about 10 years old since the last update, and we're now moving into a program called Lyris, and that will probably be generating most of our emails moving forward. I think right now we're starting with most of the parent newsletter, the alumni newsletter, and then as other systems are available, possibly student news and faculty and staff news. Right now, because of webmail, everything's plain text, so why go HTML when they can't view it? Maybe down the road, though, we do make that leap.
I've been doing a monthly newsletter for the college since about 7 years ago through Constant Contact, and we've spread that out to several other units. So we do newsletters for the School of Management, through the other institutions, We do ad hoc things about homecoming. We've got, I don't know, several hundred of them in our archives now, so it's a good part of my job right now. In fact, trying to work on the web redesign has been very difficult because everybody's a newsletter right now, and so I can say it right now, I'm working on 2, and when I get back, I'll probably do 2 more.
We have a thing called the Scarlet that's a faculty and staff. It has always been a newspaper essentially, but it was just redesigned in WordPress. And we also have a Sugar CRM implementation. We're just sort of testing on some HTML email. I don't know if you're familiar with Sugar, but it's an open source customer relationship management piece of software. Unfortunately, a lot of the nomenclature in it is very business oriented, and we're trying to see if actually it's adaptable for us.
I've got a couple of people that have asked about use of video. Are you doing work with video? What are the demands like from departments for video? Do you have the infrastructure to handle it? Anybody respond? I got a couple of you getting to doing this, but
yeah, I just mentioned Jeff Rakes, who's the head of the Office Division of Microsoft Nebraska Native, actually comes from the town I live in, a little town between Lincoln and Omaha. He's the $10 million donor, and he was back to do a presentation, a speech on the opening of the college or this school under his name, and we did both the Windows Media and the MMP4 stream, and pretty quickly found out that we oversaturated the servers, and hopefully Bill Gates wasn't trying to watch it, but Jeff give a presentation, because I don't think he would have been able to get through. But that's our big problem, is not being able to get the quantity of video out, when you are doing it.
Dude, you're getting Silver Lake.
I hope not.
We're doing video, I think, on Google Video, YouTube Video, Vimeo. It's kind of all over the place. And one goal, hopefully, would be to try to, how do we pull in all those different feeds and all that content? And then there's all the student video. I know there's video floating around on Facebook and things like that. What is appropriate, what's not so appropriate? I know our engineering students put out some great videos about beta testing their senior design projects. And that stuff is priceless, but as an 80 meg Windows file, I don't know how often it's going to get downloaded. But more people are starting to share video in the viral aspect, I think is really quite cool. But in terms of AV production, people all talk about it, but when it came to that research study that we did, it was a very low priority. People wanted the basics really nailed first before they got all the bling and the flash. But we do have a media relations guy. He's a brand new hire, and his background is TV. And so he brings a lot of video production to the table. And he's just doing short 2-minute videos that enhance a well-written story, and then using Vimeo to embed that into our website. Which is nice because on Friday, Vimeo went out, so we just had a bunch of white boxes on our pages. But it wasn't like the end of the world, because we still had that story that went with it. So we see it really as being a compliment, but not the end all for everything. Because we're not television, we're the web.
Are you guys on iTunes yet?
the question was, he just asked, are they on iTunes?
iTunes, you? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Show of hands, a few people.
That was our one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no! The first day we were on iTunes too, our video, actually our overall data on the website went up like 4. The transfer was like 4 times just a normal day. So it's a driver.
I was going to say that was the one thing I thought we did well with Ning. We created a thing that we call on our campus BlueTube, where students can upload their own videos that they've created. And we get everything from things that come out of our TV center, like student shows. One student has a Conan O'Brien-like show, and so he uploads that every week, and news shows. And then we actually had a contest, too, for students to actually create videos on campus, and then they were voted on by other current students and accepted students, and we awarded prizes based on some of the best videos. and used a few of them then through the admissions kind of publications. Our alumni office sent out some links to them, but it was a really cool use of it. It was done on the cheap for the most part. We allowed students just to shoot their own videos. They were very low quality kinds of things, but in the end, those were the ones that ended up being some of the best, even for the alumni, because the alumni were kind of getting that real snapshot of what students were really doing on campus. So the one that ended up being the best was the food in Cincinnati. A young man went around and went to the 8 big places in Cincinnati where you get food, bought one of their most popular items. Everybody who would have gone to the university or from Cincinnati would know about them, put them all in a blender and ate it up for lunch. So and it was just neat when he went to all these 8 places in town that everybody would remember, and it was funny at the end. Sort of.
So definitely some use of video out there. I've got a couple other things that are quasi-related. This question is, what's the structure of your team? Who reports to who? Anything you'd like to do differently? And then I'll have a couple follow-ups. Bob?
Oh, boy.
Talk into the microphone.
Yeah, I wish our staff was larger. I think we could move a lot faster on a lot more fronts. Still, I think it's the case at most places that the web staffs are much smaller than the print-oriented staffs. And I think if you look at our primary audience, at least our key primary audience being prospectives and current students, they're much more tuned in to online media, but it takes a while for the people with the purse strings to sort of not only figure that out, but actually make the change that's necessary. So that's my grab bag answer.
Well, while we're down there, one of the follow-ups is, how do you handle rogue departments?
Rogue departments. Actually, by dropping hints that I might have to talk to the chancellor about their roguishness. And then only in one case did I ever have to introduce anybody to the chancellor. So, but unless you've got like we've got a very powerful ally at the top spot in the institution. Unless you've got that, and for years we didn't have that. You're in a tough place. It's a matter of subjectivity. And how do you work that?
There's well, it's down on that end of the table. Also, as we talk about structure of the team, the question would also be then, do you utilize students? And how do you utilize them if you do? So I added one more on there, so we'll let you respond and then we'll pass it down.
Yeah, although I think somebody mentioned earlier with all the social media, there seem to be less talented students in the pool that can actually bring something to web development. But we've actually just interviewed a new student on Friday, and we try to use students that sort of have an Ajax Web 2.0 sort of outlook on things, because we actually think they can give us a little more agility than some of us elderly folks. We actually had a guy, and I don't know if many of you are familiar with Flirt, but we had a gentleman who, it's very cool, it's like the new Twitter. But Alvin came to us as a student. He was on our professional staff for a while, and then he was hired away to Toronto for $84,000, and I just, took him out to lunch. Congratulations.
I said earlier what our structure is. There's actually 2 of us work actively on the web, and we do have at least a dozen or so people in college that I control web access to the different folders, and that has shrunk over time.